Well, thanks for having me. And I love hearing all the data that's flying back and forth. And what I do notice is a model of consistency on what we're seeing on the trends and things. So my focus here will be on, well, how do we take this data kind of in that advisory sense of how do we look at this to help our clients and the people out there with a return to office recipe card. So apologize for the food theme here, but this is what happens when you put presentations together before you've eaten. So I have three key themes here. Prefix or a la carte. Does choice matter in this return to office? Dining in or taking home, which experience is better? Those that are coming in as of late or those that are staying home? And table for four. Why do people come in the office? And I'll share a little bit more what I'm thinking there. So first off, just a general sense of things that we are seeing and hearing that's pretty commonplace. First off, lots of clients that we talk to, half of them are saying, yeah, we're coming back full steam ahead. This is our new normal. And then an equal amount saying, no, we're not coming back. This is working. We're going to stay at home, which just leads me to conclude that we really don't know. So I think people are trying to make their best educated guess. And I love sessions like this so we can peel back and try to make this more data-driven process and really get into, I like what you said, Ben, around what's the employee sentiment? How are people feeling? And let's start to make the correlations to all the other things that we're doing. The other thing I've noticed around experience, if I look through these lenses on efficiency, it's amazing how many people already have tools and guides that will instruct us how to do this. And then I turn around when it looks at place that then they scratch their heads. I'm not sure if we're centralizing, moving out of urban cores. Is our traditional office space the right layout? And then on the far right, we have the full onslaught of anxiety by our people, fearful for what mandates may bring, uncertainty about what they're coming back to. So it's really kind of a stew. And I really think the leverage of data, AI, and the sentiment of people brings us to this kind of new frontier where we can actually create an experience-based methodology for this. Just as a little onset for what the data I'm about to show you, it comes through our experience per square foot tool. This is our experience diagnostic that we use for clients. When we first launched this, we were pretty much focused on the at-home, at the office version. There were maybe 3-4% of remote workers in the mix, but it wasn't a lot. We pivoted last year with our version, called it XSF at Home, where we garnered over 60,000 people responses in a 6-month period to really help our clients and understand, well, what just happened? What's going on with my people? And we've brought it together with a new version where we have about 30,000 data points since we turned a corner in the new year. That really is a blend of what we call this total workplace ecosystem, people working at home, office, and third places. How do we measure it all and get smarter about what we do? So as some context before I go into those themes, this is kind of what we've learned globally, and aligns with some of the data that you've seen, and I'll focus on the big red numbers that dance across the top. First off, 75% of us are saying we're still productive. Our collaboration numbers show collaboration going up 10%, but overall, this was in alignment with pre-COVID numbers that we faced. So productivity has been maintained. At the same time, though, what concerns me is about 75% of people felt a bond in connection with their colleagues and a sense of well-being. And those have dipped. So only 50% of us feeling connected, working with each other, learning, connecting the company culture, socializing, all of those things. And a drop in well-being, as we all know, work-life blur. So that's a concern. We found younger generations a bit more challenged trying to work these logistics of working at home. They may not have had a setup, fighting with roommates to get the one space, or kids home from school. So 3 out of 4 had challenges. But primarily, we saw 78%, 4 out of 5, saying, you know what, I think we can work remote more, and companies should expand their policies to do as such. When it comes to being more productive, the one thing I've noticed, and it kind of aligns with some of the other thoughts here, is when we ask people if they're as productive, yeah, it averages out. But if you look, they're putting a lot more time in to get the same product out. So I don't think it's a quality measurement as it is where ramping up the quantity of time in to hit the same kinds of numbers. The other data we've seen is, sorry, this is jumping around, that it's not consistent across the globe. So we do find our European partners, countries countries in lockdown are having a tougher time with their experiences through the pandemic. It's not consistent by industry too. This is actually an average of pre-pandemic and through the pandemic. I find it interesting. Everyone thinks the tech sector invests a lot and produces the greatest of experiences, yet we're finding they're slightly below average. And who would have thought insurance was leading the way? So it's when you start to peel this back and actually look at the hard data that's coming out of this, it's really starting to provide the real meaningful insights of where we need to look and what we can uncover. I also think this is not binary. This isn't, hey, do I work from home? Do I work from the office? I think we all know the sweet spot's going to be this hybrid role, where we're predicting that's going to be half the workforce. And the reasons for that is, hey, there are drivers to this remote work. The number one concern I saw people have pre-pandemic was, how do I know they're working? Well, I think we hit that mark. Employees feel 90% of them say, yeah, my manager trusts me to get my work done. Companies did an awesome job keeping us all informed what's going on. I'm still productive, so let's do more of this. But let's look at the softer side of things down at the bottom. My well-being is struggling. I'm not learning as much. In fact, mentoring is almost evaporated. And this is a big concern and alarm for our junior talent who came to learn the ropes. The stuff that happens pre-meeting, post-meeting, in the hallway, all that stuff, yeah, it's not happening. And even though the video's on and we're collaborating 10% improvement, we're not bonding. We come in to talk about the work, the projects, and we don't talk about the human elements of what we do when we socialize. And as a result, even though 81% of people were telling us they like their company culture, we're at 50% of people saying, I'm feeling connected. And to me, that's a big concern. That's why we can't stay in this mode of 100%. We do have repeat clients who have looked at this. While they have some single-digit improvements on fixing their own workspaces, I'm really concerned about these double-digit drops. 6 months later, further erosion of culture, bonding with colleagues and learning. And I think you saw that data on your stuff, Katie, around why people come to the office. It's to do these things, and they struggle to try to undo those from home. So let's talk about these themes. Prefix or a la carte, does choice really matter? When we looked at the data of people that were coming into the office, say 3 days or more a week, and their experiences, and we have other indices, engagement, culture, best work, networks, work-life balance. And when we compared it to people who had choices whether to come in, and the people who didn't have a choice, they were mandated, hey, you're a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or what have you. It was alarming that 74% of people, when they're given choice, have a great experience and have great engagement. And it drops like a rock, 45%, when you try to force that onto people. When we peeled it back, and I think people would find this highly fascinating, if they choose the office, it's even better. So maybe that's not intuitive to people, But when they choose the office over choosing to work from home, those people actually have a better experience. Even if mandated, if you mandate people to come in, their experience and engagement is better than those told, hey, stay working from home for now. And the reason for a lot of this stems from the same kind of conversation we had earlier around why people come in and why they work remote. Well, if you look on the left side, I come in to do all those people things. I'm collaborating, I'm socializing, I'm networking, I'm learning, connecting the culture. But when I'm home, it's a lot about the flexibility, saving on commute, there for my family, better able to focus. And the challenge with trying to mandate when people come and go is you don't know when my calendar says I need to brainstorm today with my colleagues, or I need to crunch on a report. So if you try to force people into some kind of schedule, it really erodes the flexibility. And we saw that dramatic drop. So yeah, choice does matter. I would not go with the prefix. Overall, we saw pre-pandemic that we did everything at the office. And it's just, we realized that the focus work can happen anywhere, and our workplaces are now places to bring and convene the workforce. We're looking more at a kind of flip-flop of the paradigm of 70% seats and 30% collaboration, flip-flopping 30% seats and 70% collaboration. Seating is more of a touchdown, but I came in to be with my team. I didn't come in and necessarily sit by myself unless home is just not conducive to that. Dining in or taking home. So are we coming in the office, or are we working from home? These are a lot of the averages of what we're seeing. So the number one questions we get is, who's coming back? How often are they coming back? What are they doing when they get here? Why they work remote? And we ask clients, where were you pre-COVID? Where are you now? Where do you want to be? That doesn't mean that's what it's going to be, but that's kind of the human sentiment. And this is pretty consistent. We see a high, obvious leaning towards people being in every day or 3 or 4 days a week. But post-COVID, we've been running with 25, 50, 25 for quite some time. 25% saying, I'm coming in every day, 25% saying less than once a week, so pretty much remote. And then that hybrid role in the middle. And as the data aggregates over 100,000 people, I kind of chuckle when I see it's 26, 51, 23. But we're seeing, hey, that's the new normal. But something to think about, only 25% then have a routine. They know what they're doing when they come in. Start to think of the 75% as guests. So this is why hospitality and kind of that focus really matters. Other things, we get a lot of people worried about what we call honeymooners. Those that come in, you've hired them, they've never been to your office yet. And what we've noticed is they actually have the best experience. I would actually recommend this for onboarding. It's a great way. You've leveled the playing field. I'm not limited to my geography on who I meet and interact. And we hear this over and over again. Where I would focus, and we've been calling this the sophomore slump, is when we hit that 3 to 5 year realm, and this was pre-COVID, and it's still true today, this is where it dips. This is the lowest experience. This is actually your largest cohort. It's actually the largest attrition numbers in 3 to 5 years. And now what we're seeing is it's the lowest. They hit the low spot on 27 of our 47 indices, this 3 to 5 tenured group. So people come in, they're elated, they're great, but how do you keep them and grab on and hold on to them? Big concern. The other thing that we've noticed is we studied this actually just came out Monday, a study looking at individual contributors, those that manage, and our leaders. What are they all saying? So if you see the dark blue on those bars on the left is how often they want to be frequently coming in. So yeah, it migrates slowly up, but it's still less than half. But when you look at the data, when we peel away and look at people that come in 3 or more days a week against those that aren't coming in at least once, all of these cohorts score better when they come in. So that, again, it's impetus that you want to give them choice, and they're going to do better when they come in. This is information and study that we're doing right now on people over the last 6 months. But what we found is our well-being scores better for the people that are coming in 3 days a week or more versus those that are less. So something to think about: time away from work, work-life balance, my energy, my motivation, all of these things improve. Because I think there's more of a dichotomy between those that work, close the lid, commute, come home. I think this work-life blur, I still hear my emails dinging while I'm eating dinner. That's not a good thing. So now the data is actually supporting that. And then lastly, I'll talk about table for four, please. I think everyone's so worried and concentrated about individuals in this that everything we showed you, we come in to collaborate. So I want to be able to reserve a table for or seats for four for my neighborhood, for my team. I want to come into the family room, not my bedroom when I come back to the office. Data we see, we look at something to think about as you talk about departments. So these are the average experiences of various departments. But when we studied the cohort within it that was always at the office and then you send them home and they're not back, we have big dips and big gaps between people in sales, people facing roles like HR, people in innovative functions, R&D folks, really struggling right now. Meanwhile, all their support factors over on the right, your legal, finance, those people, they're thriving. No change. But this is what I see missing that we have to focus on. It's not about necessarily just individual choice. How do teams come together? I think that's kind of the missing piece of what's next. Bring teams together to say, how often are you coming in? How often do you want to come in? But how are we going to work together? We saw that at Cushman, our brokers, our sales guys, only 42% wanted to expand remote working. And they expect their marketing, legal, finance people all to come in and join them at the office 3 or more days a week. And they're saying, hey, I'm fine. But you really have to have that team norm conversation. And when I look at this, and how do we enable the collaborative environments going forward? Again, I think I see a lot on reservation systems. I think they're important, but I need to reserve a group, not just a seat. Nothing worse than 4 people showing up and we're each on a different floor because we took what we could get and didn't know. A lot on technology advancements. I call probably the biggest issue I see is Office Collaborative Technology 2019 meets Zoom 2020. They don't work too well. And there's a lot that needs to go on. Otherwise, FOMO will set in, fear of missing out. And I think you'll see a lot of people coming in that didn't necessarily want to, just because we're not being an inclusive work culture. I think services have to move beyond just the 4 walls. We're not just an FM group taking care of the building, but we've got people where we know there are things broken at remote work that we need to fix. And I also think lastly, for measurement, how do we look at measuring an ecosystem? So I think of square feet per person in the market, the experience of people in the market, not just in my real estate, but I got to factor in my efficiency, how well we are convening a workforce. Otherwise, I'll look great because I dense packed the building because I couldn't enable people working from home. And the last thing around this on-desk reservation system, I kind of see this, how do you move from simple tactics of, hey, I need to know where people are, I need to reserve a seat. There is that peace of mind that I don't want to spend my time running around if I'm in a desk sharing environment. So if I can do that, that's awesome. I also think people want to be agile and nimble because things get canceled. I need to find a seat. But lastly, I like the approach of an experience-driven reservation system. I want to be able to say, hey, me and 3 colleagues need to come in. We need to be near marketing. I need access to video. I need some sandwiches at a time. And the system helps me figure that out. Think of that versus, hey, we all come and got a desk and then we got to get a conference room because we're not sitting near each other. There's a lot that we have to do that advancements can help. The last thoughts around, hey, what are our data recommends on next conversations? First off, I wouldn't mandate everyone come back as a full-time thing. I say mandate people to come back to connect as a team. Introduce yourself to the new people, figure out where you all are, figure out your team norm. and reconnect. I think we need to do that and figure out what the go forward pattern is after that. Plan for teams. Stop the shifting of return to office just focused on individuals, but how do we bring what's right for the working team on our frequency to come in and plan? And then lastly, hospitality. How do we create a great office experience that makes people want to choose? That's our probably biggest crux, is I'm telling you, choice matters, but you better create a great workplace and a great experience that people want to come in. What I do know is when you give them the choice, it'll be better, but they don't want to come into 1970 in the old way of working.